Hi everyone! Thank you so much for tuning in. October is National Seafood Month, and we are so excited to talk to you about some of the awesome work that we are doing at the Anderson Cabot Center for Ocean Life, the aquarium's research arm, to promote sustainable seafood. Fisheries and Aquaculture provides over 180 million tons of food each year and has the potential to provide sustainable livelihoods for millions of people around the world. Ensuring that seafood is caught or farmed in ways that have minimal impact on the environment means that we can continue to enjoy seafood for many generations to come. This week, we are going to introduce you to our Fisheries and Aquaculture Team. We work to protect the world's ocean resources by raising public awareness and working with the seafood industry to advance sustainable practices within wild capture fisheries and aquaculture operations. The aquarium has partnered with the seafood industry for about 20 years and has worked with many different parts of the seafood supply chain, from processors to seafood importers to grocery stores, to drive change. We also work closely with the animal care team to make sure that the seafood fed to our animals comes from responsible sources. Over the next month, we will be discussing a number of different topics related to seafood sustainability, including aquaculture, how we assess sustainability, and what you can do to support sustainable fisheries and aquaculture. We might also have a couple fun fish facts for you. We'd love to hear from you, so if you have any questions for us, please let us know in the comment section on Facebook and Instagram.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I work at the New England Aquarium on wild fisheries. I've been there for 14 years. And before that, I went out on commercial fishing boats and collected data on what the fishermen were catching that they were not trying to catch.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm a wild fisheries specialist at the New England Aquarium. I've worked at the aquarium for about a year, and before this, I worked at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as a marine ecologist and a scientific diver.
Hello, my name's Matt. I work on environmentally responsible aquaculture at the New England Aquarium in the Anderson Cabot Center for Ocean Life, and I've worked at the aquarium for 13 and a half years.
So we're going to play How Well Do You Know Your Teammates? And we're going to ask each other questions and see who gets the right answer. So I work on wild fisheries, and I've been at the aquarium for a long time, and I went out on commercial fishing boats. Do you guys know what I studied in undergrad? What was my major?
I do, because it's on the website.
Oh, no.
Wait, you cheated. You're not supposed to look each other's bios up on the website.
Yeah.
I expected you actually.
East Asian Studies. Matt wrote marine science, in case you can't read it.
I think it's actually, so I didn't study science or marine science or anything related to marine science in undergrad. I studied East Asian studies because, like a lot of 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds, or maybe not anymore, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I just thought, oh, these classes sound interesting, and I will take them. And then I moved to Japan and I taught English over there for a couple of years. When I was over in Asia, I learned how to scuba dive in Thailand. And then I got very into marine science. So I always thought, oh, when I go home, I'll just take all my undergrad science classes, which my parents were not so thrilled about, and then go to grad school. So that's what I did. So how did you get into this, interested in this kind of work and this job? Wait, Matt, I can't see yours. Can you move it?
Yep, it says rock pools, also known in American English as tide pools.
So now you have to explain.
I can remember on a school trip in a place called Rottingdean, which is on the south coast of England, going on a school trip to see these amazing rock pools. I brought my little net and managed to catch a little guppy. From there, I decided I wanted to be an oceanographer or a marine scientist. Yeah, I studied marine science at the University of Southampton in the UK, and from there I did a year out to the United States, and I did an internship at a place called Harbour Branch Oceanographic Institution. I went and did a master's degree at Stirling University in Scotland on aquaculture, which was very intense, and continue to have that theme, this understanding that we've got to raise fish in a way that is economically and environmentally sustainable. We've got to match the industry needs and the environmental needs if we're going to grow fish in a responsible way and ensure that we always have seafoods.
I made a smiley face and then I have an ocean. No, so I grew up on the beach in New York. I learned a lot about where I lived because I was very immersed in like the ecology of my area. So I kind of, when I got to college, I thought like, okay, environmental science. My jobs in college were all, I was a research assistant looking at water quality, and then I was doing my thesis on jellyfish. So I wound up going to grad school at the University of Rhode Island for marine policy because I wanted to be like, let's apply this to everything and save the ocean. So I kind of stuck with that, and that's why I wound up working for the government. So I was doing a lot of field work. I was a scientific diver for that job, and we got to go out on boats and do some cool like sediment grabs and things like that. But it was so structured that you couldn't like think creatively, which I really missed. And I also felt like I wasn't having as big of an impact I know I was having impacts on certain projects, but I wasn't having like a broad impact, I guess, which is kind of what I like about this job is like we kind of have this really nice big focus of like sustainable fisheries, and we work in a lot of different geographical areas and on a lot of different species. So I think that's really fun.
So if you had the chance to create a unique tank within New England Aquarium and have it be the seafood tank, which covers everything that we might talk about, what would you put? I mean, what would be your top three, let's just say, marine items in that tank, and why?
My diagram.
Oh, wonderful. And you went circular tank so people could enjoy from 360
It would
degrees.
take the place of the Great Ocean Tank because it would be better. So I went with popular seafood items. So I have a shrimp because that's the most popular seafood in the United States. So that's a shrimp. Then I have a tuna right here. So then you could talk about like cool like conservation working, tuna bouncing back. It's a bluefin tuna. And then I have a pollock because it's a very popular whitefish that people don't know what it looks like also. And then it also has a nice sustainability story about not being overfished even though it gets fished a lot. So those are my three fish.
So I had the seaweed in there. I actually really like eating seaweed, but it's also an important part of the ecosystem. I have a sponge in there for the same reason, because it's filtering water. And then I have the schooling fish because it's providing food for the fish that we eat. And then I got to a shrimp, and that was my fourth, and I realized that I
went way over your correct amount of species in this tank.
Yeah.
All right, so well, actually, I would go with great minds think alike here again, because I have shrimp as the number one. In fact, I have shrimp as number one, white shrimp specifically, kelp, and juvenile flounder. The flatfish are the cutest things you could possibly imagine. Kelp because just really interested in the role that it has as a food item and some other elements, and how we're growing the aquaculture industry around seaweeds. I think they're very exciting things. And then white shrimp, as you all said, it's the number one seafood item consumed in America, represents about a third of all the seafood we eat, and about 90% of it is farm raised. And almost all of that is white shrimp.
Okay, I have another, we'll go with the trivia question theme. Okay. It kind of goes to the shrimp is the most popular seafood item. So on average, how many pounds, Matt, American weight of seafood does the average American eat in a year? It's 16. Matt went real specific.
Oh
my God.
16.1. 17
Nice.
years, I think you're at 8.
16 pounds. Do you guys think you eat 16 pounds of seafood in a year?
I probably eat more.
We work with fishing. Like, why do we focus on fisheries and aquaculture instead of just saying keep fish in the ocean? Like, why is that important?
I can take that if you like. I think that the role of an aquarium really is there to sort of expose people to the marine environment so they can see these animals and get some affinity for, the life below the sea. And it's a great way to understand how we can sort of empower people to then make changes in their daily lives that can improve the marine environment. And seafood's really the same way. We're supposed to eat seafood twice a week for our health benefits. So if you think about it, that's twice a week where we can make choices to buy farm fish or wild fish that's going to come from sources that are less impactful to the environment. So, it's a great way. In fact, I would say it's sort of necessary for an aquarium to talk about seafood because it's re-engaging people in those day-to-day choices that they can make to make their marine life better. So our fish are ambassadors in our tanks, and really the advice that we give businesses and how they present the fish in their stores or whichever is also their ambassadors to protecting the marine environment.
There's no right answer. I will start mine. What is your favorite part about this job? Okay. So what did you write? Oh, that's a good one.
I just feel like there's so much to learn about, and I love that part of it. Just always learning about something new, and I really like that.
Yeah. Well, here's my list. It starts with experience and knowledge. It's understanding.
Wait, colleagues is third?
Yeah, it's not ranked. I didn't rank it. Yeah, so it's the again understanding how much there is to learn about aquaculture and impacts and everything else. It's a fascinating part of the job. Also that we have a mission, right? We're trying to achieve some lofty goals. I think that's a great incentive to come to work. We have excellent colleagues like yourselves, but also other people throughout the center and the aquarium who are committed to those. So they're a fun bunch to work with. The impacts, it's nice when you achieve those goals. Sometimes they're incremental, but gives you that sense of personal achievement to come back and say, hey, I did something today that impacted or potentially improved 30,000 shrimp farms in Southeast Asia by making one line item change in a certification. Those are good things. Those are things I want to hold on to. And then just being solutions orientated, right? We're not, it's not our role necessarily to point out all the problems, but it is a lot of our role to sort of engage people in trying to figure out how to solve those from a research perspective and then implement them in an applied way. So working with the industry to make those changes.
Nice.
You guys.
Oh.
I thought that was the right answer.
Thank you for watching this. Next time, Matt is going to talk about aquaculture. So if you guys have any questions about aquaculture for Matt, leave them in the comments on Facebook, and maybe he'll answer them.
Maybe I will. Maybe I can. I will have to see.
Matt can answer them. He's a smart man.
Do my best to answer your questions about responsible aquaculture, U.S. aquaculture, and its role in the world and seafood. So hopefully you'll find that interesting and tune in.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.